Jai Anilo Premadano Karamakacho.
Gurudev, Sri Tamal Krishna Goswami, and friends. It is our great fortune that Gurudev Ji is back again to this city and he has accepted our invitation from Gujarati Samaj to conduct this lecture series. When we visit Hare Krishna temple, naturally we participate in different rituals. But besides rituals, it is the in-depth knowledge, in-depth our association with our own religion which has great significance. And what I found is Sri Gurudev has devoted a great deal of time of his life in going in depth of Hindu religion, and he has grasped that knowledge that many of us, even though we may be associated with Hindu religion since our birth, many things we have not understood. I had a privilege of watching some of his videos, and I was very deeply impressed by the contemporary style, the contemporary way that he presents this knowledge. And it is with that impression that after discussing with Hiralal, we thought that for our friends in Houston, this would be a great opportunity. And I'm sure that at the end of this series of lectures, we all will be greatly enlightened. And I want to thank Goswami for accepting this invitation. And I'm sure that the knowledge that we will get from this series of lectures will definitely benefit in our lives, all of us. Again, I know that you all are very anxiously waiting for listening to Gurudev. So without taking any further time, I would request Gurudev to start his lecture. Thank you.
Friends, today's topic is all that glitter is not gold.
Om Agyanatimarandasa Jananjana Salakaya Chaksulamidatam Jaina Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manubhistam Stapitam Jaina Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Tsa Pandantikam. I want to thank Mukund Bhai for his warm welcome, and I also want to warmly welcome him back to Houston. I had the good fortune to spend some time with him in my last visit to Houston, So I'm very keen and happy to see him again. And he has complimented me for my contemporary style of lecturing. So I think that that is a compliment which can be in turn extended to Srila Prabhupada, from whom we learned whatever we know at this time. But not to disappoint him, I will try to be as contemporary as possible today. Yesterday, we spoke on the philosophy of Bhagavad Gita, although the subject was why do bad things happen to good people. We tried to explain it in terms of the laws of karma, and we explained the difference between the various types of yoga. Now today, the subject is all that glitters is not gold. And I felt that the best way to approach this topic was to have the help of all of you who are in the audience today. So I hope that you are listening very carefully, including our young friends up front. Are you listening? Have you eaten your dinner yet? So you're still hungry, right? Because usually people who are hungry are more attentive. So, today all that glitters is not gold. Gold, the gold standard, is considered to be the basis of judging the worth of something. Just like when you ask someone how much money do they have, and they tell you, I have $100. It means that you have $100, say $100 bill. How much is a $100 bill worth? Huh? Actually, it is just a piece of paper. That didn't work. How much is $100 worth? You said $100, but I said it is only a piece of paper. It is a piece of green colored paper. So how can you say it is worth $100? It's just a piece of paper. Isn't it? What's the difference between a $100 bill and any other green piece of paper? Huh? Can anyone answer? Yes, exactly. It's backed by the U.S. government's gold reserves. In other words, there should be $100 worth of gold in the U.S. Treasury. Is there? Yeah, that is the problem. It is not there. Actually, it is supposed to be there. But because in this age, one of the symptoms of Kali Yuga is cheating, therefore, governments of the world do not back their currency 100%, but they only back it by some lesser amount. In any case, we're not going to get into a discussion on this point right now, but the principle is that gold has got value. Just like we see, sometimes people take up the business of selling gold because they think that in any case, even if the business is not successful, you still have your gold in hand, right? So there's some value. Even my parents, their business is gold. They're jewelers, so they also are in this business. In fact, they were willing to hand over the whole business to me. But before they made their offer, Prabhupada made a better offer. So I took up Prabhupada's offer to become a sannyasi. So gold has got value, at least apparently. But everything else may not be as valuable as gold. So let us discuss tonight, and I want your help in this regard, what things you find are very valuable. Now I think you can suggest to me some different possibilities. You raise your hand and tell me what you consider to be very valuable. Any suggestion? What's the most valuable thing? Now you're talking about real value. But in general terms, supposing you are not all very intelligent as you are, but on behalf of less intelligent people, what would you say people would consider to be the most valuable thing? Life. Okay, and by life, I think we can say the body, right? Our body is the most valuable thing we have, and that means good health and, if possible, good beauty. Okay? I also made some list of things, and that was my number one item. Then what's the next thing after your own body? Yes, family. Isn't it? Okay. Then what's the third thing? Okay. But one thing is that wealth is alright, we can accept wealth. So by wealth we mean bank balance, savings accounts, even a good job. We can include that. Alright? What are some other things which are very valuable?
Your friends.
Friends. Okay. Wait, oh yeah, I have that. Friendship, right, friends. Okay? Prestige. Yes, I had that as prestige or one's reputation. Okay, let's hear some more things. Education. Right. I had that also, education. What else? Honesty. So I wrote under honesty, morality. Who said honesty? Yes, sir. So I said morality, which includes honesty and many other good conduct, good moral principles. What other things? There's a very basic thing. Children, where are you living? Ah, yes, your house. Okay. Residence. And under residence, we can also include our immediate house and the country in which we live. It's very important, isn't it? Any other things? Food. Okay, let me see where I have that. No, I didn't have that. Have you eaten your dinner yet? Okay. Food. Okay. Yeah. Clothing. I think I have that. Clothes includes, oh yes, clothes and jewelry and other ornaments for the body. Same thing you were going to say? Any other ones? Huh? Position. We'll include that under reputation. Anything else? I had different types of luxuries. Automobile, laundry. Meaning all kinds of luxury services. Right? You know, laundry machine, right? Videos. So many different things that we have as, well, if we consider them now not luxury, we consider necessities, right? But actually they're luxury items. Okay? Anything else? Huh? Wait a minute, there's 3 people in a row raising their hand. This young lady.
Plants.
Plants. Plant? Plants? Well, okay, we'll think about that. If we run out of time, if we run out of items, we'll edit. Anything else? That is under citizenship, which is residence. That is under health. Okay, that's enough items. Now, I propose to do as follows. That let us evaluate. Let us see what the real value of each one of these items is, viewed according to the Vedic observation. In other words, we know what the general view is. Let us now try to see, according to the Shastra Chaksu, the eye of Scripture. Let us look through the Scriptures and see how much value each of these things has. The first thing is the body. The body means this covering, which is like a clothing. And according to Chanaka Pandit, have you heard his name? He's a very famous advisor, a very famous statesman or politician in old India. And his sayings are very famous, Chanaka sloks. So Chanaka Pandit says that in order to save yourself, you can sacrifice anything. He goes through a series of things. You can sacrifice your country, you can sacrifice your family, but ultimately, to save your own body, you can sacrifice anything. And his point is to say that when it comes down to it, a person's body is usually the most dear thing to him. Now, in the Bhagavad Gita, there is a statement in the very beginning of Bhagavad Gita, second chapter. I will read you this verse. Nashato vidyate bhavo na bhavo vidyate sataha ubayor apidristavantas tva anayos tattvadarshidi. This verse explains that those who are very wise men, darshidi means they are seers of the truth, they say that the material body has no endurance, and the eternal soul has no change. In other words, they say the difference between Sat and Asat. Sat means eternal. Asat means temporary. The body is temporary. The soul is eternal. Those things which are temporary have no existence. And those things which are eternal have existence. For example, this body. According to science, you have a different body at every moment. If we look at each other, do we see any change in the body? No, I mean to say, while I'm looking at you right now, your body appears to be the same. But 1 year from now, if I look at you, there'll be some changes. Especially if someone is 7 or 8 or 9 or 10 years old. In 1 year's time, how many inches can they grow? 4 inches? They grow. Madhavananda, how much your son grew? Isn't it? We saw in 1 year he grew sometimes 6 inches. So, 6 inches he grew in 1 year. Every month he was growing a half an inch. But when you were looking at him, you could not see any change. So we may think that the body is not changing. But science tells us that at every moment, the cells of the body are changing. They are being replaced. Therefore, the Bhagavad Gita says, actually, that which is temporary does not exist. Because what this means is that at every moment, there's a change in the body. That thing which existed will never exist again. The body which we have at this moment, as soon as I speak these words, some of the cells have died and been replaced. So the exact same body no longer exists. Therefore, this body actually has no permanent existence. And in that sense, we can say the body is not real. Reality means that which exists permanently. So the thing which people give the most importance to, their own body, actually is not real. And what type of importance do they give it? So much importance. Beauty. A person's beauty is considered to be all important. You know, there's a famous story called Liquid Beauty. Have you heard this story? No? You kids have not heard it? Have your adults heard it? Some. Once upon a time, there was a very beautiful girl. Very beautiful. So this young prince thought, I would like to meet this girl. So he went to her and said, my dear fair-faced lady, please allow me to meet you and we will have a nice time together. So this young girl was very intelligent. And she said that this prince does not appreciate actually my good qualities. He is only seeing how beautiful I am. So I will try to teach him something. So she said, I will meet you again, but 1 week from today. What did she do in the 1 week's time? She began to take some very strong medicine. And because of this medicine, she started to vomit. Have you ever vomited? Okay. It's not very pleasant, is it? Well, she kept taking more and more medicine, and she was vomiting more and more and more. And what did she do with the vomit? She kept it in a big pot. Okay. So after 1 week's time, the nice prince came. But instead of seeing a beautiful girl, he saw this very old, shriveled, wrinkled lady. So the prince had come to the restaurant. That's where he met her. So he said to the manager of the restaurant, where is that beautiful young lady that I wanted to meet? So the manager said, well, what table was she going to meet you at? And he said, that table, but there's some old lady there. He said, anyway, maybe she knows, so let us ask. So the prince went over and said, I was supposed to meet a very beautiful young lady. Can you please tell me where she is? The old lady said, I am that young lady. He said, what? Why are you joking with me like this? What have you done with that young lady? She said, well, if you want to know, I'll show you. So she took him to her home, brought the prince into her house, and opened up the room where the big pot of vomit was. And when the prince opened the door and smelled that horrible smell, he thought this is the most horrible thing. So he became very upset and he said, why are you doing this to me? Why are you playing this trick on me? She said, I'm not playing a trick on you. The beauty, which was my beauty, which you thought was so attractive, that beauty is now stored in that pot. That beauty which you are chasing after is liquid beauty. It is not real beauty. So the prince understood after she talked what she had done, and he began to realize that actually the beauty of this body is very temporary. Now you just consider how much effort is being put into beautifying the body. A man and a woman become attracted to each other. Why? Only generally because of physical appearance? In the old days, how were people married? By what means? Huh? By the parents. The parents arranged the marriage. Do any young people want their parents to arrange their marriage? See, they're saying no. No, we will pick out our Prince Charming. So this is the point now. People have become more and more captivated by the idea of physical beauty. In the Vedic times, people were not simply concerned with physical appearance. So beauty is very ephemeral or very changing. And what about health? Everyone is mad after good health, especially in America these days. So many health clubs, so many vitamin pills you can take, different types of programs to put yourself on good health. But the fact is that people don't know what is good health. They actually don't know. I had one doctor sitting with me, and he told me that the kind of diet that we eat, the Krishna conscious diet, that means dal, rice, chapatis, nice vegetables, and good milk products, yogurt. This diet is a complete diet. And it doesn't lack in any vitamins whatsoever. But because people are eating the wrong foods, their health has become so bad, and they make up so many ideas of what is good health and what is bad health. And they try to find ways to become more healthy. You may say that they're more healthy, but the fact of the matter is that we see that people's lifespan is actually decreasing, not increasing. Now you may say, I don't agree. The longevity is increasing, but actually it's not so. The only thing that has been done now is that child mortality has been more or less eliminated. Very few children are dying at birth or when they're in their first year of age. Whereas in the old days, sometimes that happened. But actually we don't find that people are getting older, living to an older age. I have seen in India so many older people. People living in very natural circumstances, living till 80 or 90 was quite normal. It is said that at this age, the actual lifespan should be 100 years of age. If a person leads a very pure and healthy life, he should expect to live 100 years. Actually, people are not doing that. They're not doing that. And they have so many ideas of how to keep the body alive. Sometimes people try to freeze the body. When they get very old and they're about to die, they think, just like Walt Disney. Just like you have this shirt, Mickey Mouse shirt on. So, Walt Disney, right? Everybody's heard of Walt Disney. Do you know what happened when he got old and was about to die? He told his family members that instead of letting me die, you can put me in a freezer, put my body into a refrigerator, and make it so cold that the body will become frozen. And what you should do is that since I have this bad disease now, and nobody knows how to cure it, you wait until they have found the cure for my disease, and then you can bring me out of the freezer, unfreeze me, and they'll give me the cure, and I will again live until I get the next disease. And then they can put me in the freezer again. Have you heard about this? Do you know what happened? The family members put him in a freezer. He actually became frozen for many years. But then the whole thing, his estate became very valuable. And the family members began to fight. And the estate was being debated in the court, and eventually, somehow, somebody pulled the plug on the freezer. and he finished. And he's dead now. This actually took place. He's lost his life. So this type of attitude, how to keep the body going on and on and on, this is a foolish policy. Very foolish policy. A wise man does not worry so much like this. He knows, my father died, my father's father died, my father's father's father died, and one day I will also die. And when will death come? We cannot say. So he doesn't lament so much. Nowadays, someone gets cancer. They try so many different types of cures. Now, you may try to cure it for a while, but after a while, before you go into all of these cures and your hair starts falling out, your teeth fall out, your brain gets, frazzled by all of these chemotherapies and other treatments, it's not a very dignified way to die. When my Guru Maharaj was in his last year, he told me, under no circumstances should you let them take me to a hospital. He said, even if you find me in an unconscious condition, do not let them take me to a hospital. He said, one of my godbrothers, he was very proud because during his last days, he was in a hospital and there were so many tubes going in and out of his body, and he was very proud that he had all the best that modern science could offer. But did it stop him from dying? No. So Prabhupada said, if you see me in this condition, simply surround the bed and have a big kirtan and chant the Hare Krishna mantra and let me leave my body in that way. And actually that happened. When Prabhupada was ready to give up his body, we were always chanting continuous kirtan. And so Prabhupada left this world, not in a hospital, not with tubes in his body, in Vrindavan. Where should one leave his body? In a holy place. In a holy place. That is the best thing. It is said that if you leave your body while you are in Vrindavan, then you certainly go back to home, back to Godhead. You go back to the spiritual world, back to Krishna. If you leave this world hearing the holy name, remembering Krishna, then you don't have to take birth again in this material world. So, we should therefore understand that the body is temporary. To put so much emphasis on the body is not the sign of intelligence. Now, the next thing which is very dear is the family members. What are the family members? They are extensions of our own body. And they are described by those who are intelligent as fallible soldiers. What is a fallible soldier? A soldier who fails. A general is protected by many soldiers. But if his soldiers cannot protect him, what value do they have? So at the time when you are ready to die, who surrounds the body? Who surrounds you? Your family members, right? They all stand around the bed. I remember when my grandfather was dying, he was in a hospital, and my mother brought me to the hospital bed, and we were all surrounding him. But could we help him? No. Could not help him. We were not able to give him any real help. Now, perhaps at this time I could help him. But at that time I had no idea what to do for him. And everyone was crying. So the material family members cannot help us at all. Sometimes we see that people feel so much devoted to their family that they will do anything on behalf of their family. But we see that Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita had to learn a different lesson. What was the lesson that Krishna wanted to teach Arjuna? Can anyone say? Regarding family, what was Krishna's instruction to Arjuna? Who is the most important family member of all? Krishna. Because Krishna is our real father. Bijamam sarva bhutanam aham bija pratapita. I am the seed-giving father. You say, all of you young kids here, are your fathers and mothers here tonight? Yes? You're sure? They are, right? Okay. Tell me something. Before you took birth, before you were born, were you alive or not? What I mean to say is this. I see your body here. Is there something in the body which I don't see? The soul. Right? You know about the soul? Does the soul die or not? Okay. Does the soul die? It doesn't die. Does the soul take birth? If it takes birth, then how do you say it doesn't die? What happens to it? Huh? Changes the body. So the soul that is in your body now, listen, the soul that was in your body now, was it in another body in your last life? Do you think that you had a past birth, or is this the first time you have ever been born? Huh?
There was a past birth.
How many people agree with that? You all say that. Okay, please tell me, who is your father and mother in your past birth? Did you bring them here tonight? Why not?
We don't know that.
But you think that they were not important to you in your last life? They were very important. Where are they? Huh?
We don't know.
You don't know. The father and mother you have in this life, are they very important to you? Very important? Very, very important? Now when you die and you take your next birth, will they be very important to you? Oh. So actually, in every birth we get a father and mother. Isn't it true? Does the birds have fathers and mothers? Yes. Do the dogs and cats have fathers and mothers? Do fish have fathers and mothers? Yes. So what's the difference between the cats, dogs, fish, and us? We all have fathers and mothers. Do you know what the difference is? As a human being, you can get a spiritual father and a spiritual mother. What's the word for spiritual father? Okay, God. And who represents God? No, Krishna doesn't represent God. Krishna is God. The spiritual master, the guru, is the representative of God. So the guru can be called a spiritual father. What about a mother? What's a spiritual mother? Scripture. Scripture. Why? Because a mother can tell you who your father is. If you want to find out who your father is, who's the best authority? Mother. Isn't it true? Who can say who the father is except the mother? She's the only one who can ultimately say that. So if we want to know who our spiritual father is, we have to go to Scripture. That is the problem today. When people try to understand who God is, they try to understand by some kind of contest or some popularity poll. But actually, if you want to know who God is, you have to consult Scripture. It's amazing to find out how little people think in terms of Scripture. So when we think in terms of family members, We have a duty to them. You have a duty to your father. You have a duty to your mother. You have a duty to your husband, your wife, and your children. But who is the ultimate duty to? Krishna, God. That is the point that Krishna is making to Arjuna, isn't he? Arjuna has a duty to his grandfather. He has a duty to his uncle. He has a duty to his cousins. He has a duty to his brother. Who's the eldest brother of Arjuna? No, Karna. He has a duty to all of them. But what is Krishna giving Arjuna? What is the instruction he's telling him? Ultimately, sarva dharmam parityaja mam ekam saranam vraja. You give up all of these other duties and you surrender unto this one supreme duty. And then he says, sarva dharmam parityaja mam ekam saranam vraja aham tvam sarva papio mukshasyami masucha. If you do this, then even though you neglect all other duties, I will protect you from any sinful reaction. Because when you don't do your duty, you will get a sinful reaction. That is normally true. But Krishna says if you neglect your duty for serving me, there won't be any sinful reaction. In the Bible, the same thing is there. Same statement. There's a statement in the Bible that I come to divide brother from brother, father from son. The same principle Jesus, in the New Testament, Jesus says. Why? What is he doing that for? Not that he wants to divide father from son or brother from brother, but he wants to say that to follow me is more important than anything else. And all scriptures in the world will teach this principle. But unfortunately, we don't hear that. Neither we hear it from a Hindu, neither we'll hear it generally from a Christian, neither we'll hear it from anybody in any faith. Now, people have forgotten that point. That to serve God is the number one duty of all. That is called Sanatan Dharma. Eternal religious duties. The other duties are, when we say family, what does it mean? The family of the soul or the family of the body? Family of the body. And is the body permanent or temporary? So is that family permanent or temporary? So the duties for such temporary family members, are these permanent duties or temporary duties? Temporary duties. Therefore, they're not Sanatan Dharma. They're not ultimately Sanatan Dharma. So this may be hard to accept, but this is reality. Now, when Srila Prabhupada formed this International Society for Krishna Consciousness, what was he doing? He wanted to form a spiritual family. He wanted to show that instead of judging family membership by skin and blood, we should judge it by spiritual connection. Every one of us has a spiritual connection with each other. Why? Because we all have a common Father. Who is our common Father? Krishna, God. So if we have a common Father, then we are all brothers and sisters. This is a family, and it goes beyond the designation of Christianity, Hinduism, Judaism, Mohammedanism. This whole thing of Hindu-Muslim conflict, or conflict between Christians and Jews, or all types of religious conflicts. Is there really a conflict on the ultimate issue? Are there many gods? No. What does God mean? The supreme being who has no equal. So there's no question of it being a Christian God, a Hindu God, a Muslim God. Why do we say Christian God, Hindu God, Muslim God? Are there many gods? Is there a different God for a Christian or Hindu? Then why does he have a different name? What is the Christian God's name? No, Jesus is the Son of God. What is his Father's name? No, God is not a name, it is a position. Jehovah. All right? The Jews may say Jehovah. Christians may also say Jehovah. What do the Muslims call God? Allah. Okay? So we see many names for God. Does it mean that God is a different person for each religion? But he has many names. Is that hard to understand? No. Because how many names do you have? Huh? No, you don't have. What's your name? What is your name? That's your only name? What else? How many names do you have? Anybody have a third name? No, he has 3 names. So if any one of you can have 3 names, right? Or 2 or 3 or even 4 names. God can have how many names? At least 4, right? And maybe many more than 4. He may have hundreds and thousands of names. But does it mean he's more than one person? No, okay. So there's one supreme God. And we are all related to him. And therefore, this is spiritual family. So we have to learn to make this spiritual family tie more important than material family ties. Then the whole world will come together in peacefulness. Otherwise, there will always be conflict. Now families are breaking. That's it. Communities are breaking. Families are breaking. How many families are married and the marriages are remaining together? In America now, what is the divorce rate? I think it is nearly 50% of marriages end in divorce. And then I heard a radio report. The second marriage, the chances go up to 70% there will be divorce. The third marriage, it goes to 80%. The fourth marriage will 90% end in divorce. The fifth marriage is like 95%. And if you go for a 6th marriage, it's sure that there will be a divorce. It's either divorce or death. So this is the situation in America. There's so much divorce. Families are breaking. Then what else is breaking? There used to be, in India, communities, right? Just like we have, what are some community names? No, but Gujarati is a too big a designation. Within the Gujarati community, what are some designations? Huh? Patels, there are Patels, what else? Jains? What else? But there are so many smaller family units, huh? Very small family units. Gotras are there. Just like when you marry someone. You have to marry someone not only if one Gujarati wants to marry another Gujarati, but it has to be in the same, what? Gotra. Any other thing has to be there also? Same caste. But now, how often does that happen? It is becoming more difficult, isn't it? Nowadays it's even difficult for one Gujarati to find another Gujarati to marry. It's becoming more difficult. So that designation is breaking. Now it will become more difficult for an Indian to marry another Indian. And now the Indians are not Indians, they're Americans. So everything is becoming completely mixed. What is the point about all of this? The point is that we can't hold on to these type of bodily designations. That's the point. Family designations, bodily designations will break. Then the next thing is what? A person's residence. People become very much attached to their residence. Very attached. Just like we see that everyone wants to keep up with the Joneses, is the saying, right? What do you say? Keep up with the Patels or something. Keep up with some family. I want to get a house as good as so-and-so's. I must live in Southwest. Or I must live in this area or that area. Very important, the kind of residence we have. But actually, residence is a temporary thing. In the old days, we see that people were living in a very simple way. When the British came to India, and they saw the village life in India, they thought, oh, how unfortunate. The people are so poor here. They're living in a house made of mud, earth, with a chitai or thatched roof. The floor was made with packed mud. And the water supply was from a well. And who was living in this way? Let us say 200 years ago. Who was living like this? Everybody. Were they poor? Huh? They had many cows, very often, many cows. They had their own field. They grew so much good food to eat. They had jewelry. They had good clothing. They had health, good health. They were happy. How were they poor? How were they poor? I don't think they were poor. And they were not worried. If a storm came and destroyed the house, was it a big problem? Now you have to get insurance on your house. Right? It's such a problem. Not only do you have to get insurance, but even if you have insurance, how do you protect your house from thieves? You have to lock all the windows and bolt them on the ground floor, right? So that you cannot even get any fresh air. And what is the question of fresh air in Houston? Now I heard that Houston has the worst air pollution in the United States. It has taken over the #1 position from Los Angeles. Congratulations. Houston has finally become #1 in air pollution. And in any case, a person lives in his home, all the ground floor rooms, right? The windows are bolted, permanently bolted. The house has got maximum security systems. You have a wild dog on a chain to bark if anyone comes nearby. You know, even your own family member can get bitten. This is life in America. People are so attached like this. But actually in the old days, people used to keep their home very simple. Like now, in the house, there's a rug. Now we all think a rug is a very good thing. Would people put rugs in the old days in their home? Why not? Especially, what is better? Wall-to-wall rug or just a throw rug? Which is better? Wall-to-wall carpeting is better, right? Huh? She says it is definitely better. But what is the problem with wall-to-wall carpeting? You cannot clean it. Now you can say, yes, you can clean it. You can clean it with chemicals. What are chemicals made from? What is the basic raw material of chemicals? Oil. When something gets oil on it, can it ever be cleaned? What kind of what kind of cloth is the most pure cloth? No. No, nobody has said it. Wool. The most pure cloth is considered to be wool. Wool is always clean and can never become contaminated. And you can take, just like supposing you have to go in a dirty place, say in the toilet. Now you may say toilet is not dirty, but according to Vedic culture, the toilet is dirty. In the old days, no one put a toilet in their home. Right? Because the whole house becomes contaminated. Even in Western countries, they used to make what they call the outhouse. Nobody put the toilet in the house. Because the toilet is contaminated. But if you wear a wool covering into the toilet, that wool covering does not become contaminated. That same wool cloth could even be used in puja and it would not be considered contaminated. What about silk? Silk can be contaminated, but it can be very easily cleaned. You know how to clean silk? Simply by waving it in the air. By contact with air, silk becomes clean. So next to wool, silk is the best cloth. Now what is next? Cotton. How does cotton become clean? You have to use water. If cotton is not washed within 1 day, it's considered contaminated. Did you know that? Therefore, for puja, generally people use silk. Because every day you have to wash cotton or it becomes contaminated. Just by the air it will become contaminated. So now we're talking about the home, wall-to-wall carpeting, which we clean by pouring chemicals on it, which are oil. If oil gets on cloth, what happens to the cloth? Spoiled. You have to throw it away. It's spoiled. You can, of course, you could send it to the dry cleaners. Right? We have some dry cleaner shops we could recommend you. But generally, it is said that it be contaminated. Some of our members here have their dry cleaners business. So they'll say, no, we can remove any spot. But actually, from a technical point of view, it's contaminated. So, what we see in the house today, so much furniture. Is furniture necessary? It's not necessary. If you didn't have a bed, where would you sleep? Huh? On the floor? No problem. If you didn't have a chair, where would you sit? If you didn't have a desk, what would you write on? Then why do you have all this furniture? Do you know how much money that furniture cost? Do you know how many hours your father and mother had to work to buy that furniture for you to sit on and write on and sleep on? Was it worth it? It is worth it? You say that, but I don't know if your father and mother would say that. They had to do the work. It's very easy for you to say, yes, it is worth it. Actually, we are spoiling so many hours. In the old days in India, in a village life, when someone was living in a nice mud hut, did they have a bed? Maybe they had a bed. Well, what was the bed made from? Simple bed. Maybe it was either just a mat, a grass mat, or perhaps wooden with string, right? Some hemp. Right. Very simple bed. And for chairs, people sat on the floor and they had no back problems. Nowadays, everyone has lower back problems. Right? I have a back problem. It's they told me, the chiropractor told me there's an occupational hazard. Because he said you should sit down on the floor. I said I can't because now I'm a guru. I have to sit on a seat. So he said there's an occupational hazard. You have got a bad back because of being a guru. You have to always sit on these big seats. Instead, if you were sitting on the floor, you'd have a very strong back because you'd have to sit up straight. You see, look how they're all sitting, very straight. So, this is all unnecessary. This whole business with the house, the furnishings, is so much energy being wasted. Human energy. The human form of life is so valuable. But instead we find that human beings, what is the difference between a human being and an animal? Most human beings are doing the same things. They're working hard just like the animals. If you look at a bird, what does a bird do when it gets up in the morning? Flies around for what? Huh? To look for food. Then after it gets food, what does it do? Huh? Eating, I know, but after eating, what does it do after eating? He has to make his nest, fix up the nest, right? Because some straws fell out. So he goes around to build his home. So if you think about this, all day long, what does a bird do? 4 things. Eat, make his house, right? Which means sleeping. And what else do birds do? They have sex life. They reproduce, right? They have little birds, baby birds. And sometimes they fight with each other. Now, what do human beings do? So what's the difference between a bird and a human being? Any difference? Not if this is all they do. So what should human life be for? What should the human energy be for? for the purpose of understanding who we are, for becoming God conscious. This is what human life is meant for. Now you consider this point, that we have talked about the body, the family, the residence. Then there are subtle things like reputation and prestige. Everyone wants to be known as a very good man. You look at the situation now in the United States. To run for political office, it's practically impossible to find a candidate anymore. What happens as soon as they name some candidate? They do a search on the person's character, right? They do a character reference search, and they always turn up so many bad things. Nobody has a good reputation anymore in this age. Very hard to find a person with good moral character. Very difficult. Even in regard to morality, now this point was raised. Honesty. What is very important? A man's reputation lives longer than he does. Right? So the Vedas tell us you should act in such a way that you will be known even after your life as a very reputable person. Honesty, for example, is very important. But there is something more important than honesty. Now, in the battle of Kurukshetra, who was the most moral and honest person? No. Yudhisthira. What was another name for Yudhisthira? Dharmaraj. Who is the father of Yudhisthira? Huh? No. Yamaraj. Yamaraj, the Lord of Death, who is known as Dharmaraj, is the real father of Yudhisthira. But in the battle of Kurukshetra, what did Yudhisthira have to do? Huh? What? Tell me. What did Krishna tell him to do when he had to kill? When Dronacharya had to be killed? Krishna told Yudhisthira to lie. As soon as Yudhisthira did this lie, what happened? His chariot went down. Why did it go down? Why did it go down? Because he became dishonest. He told a lie. Is that what you're saying? But that is not the answer. And everyone here will say what you said. That the reason Yudhisthira's chariot went down is because he told a lie. But actually that is not the reason. You know what the reason is? Because he hesitated to do what Krishna asked. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur has given actual explanation that Yudhisthira Maharaj's chariot did not go down because of the lie, because the lie was not a lie, because it was on Krishna's order, but because he hesitated to do Krishna's bidding, the chariot went down. Because when God orders someone, no matter what that order is, one should not hesitate to carry it out. And that is Dharma. That is actual Dharma. Not what we call material morality. Material morality is very good. No doubt it is very good. It is good. But there is a higher morality still. And that is the morality of doing God's will. And if one does the will of God, then certainly he will be a first-class moral person. Why are the Pandavas known to be great? Not only because Yudhisthira's honesty, not because of Arjuna's courage, because Arjuna killed Karna in a most unbecoming way. And Yudhisthira told a lie. And still the Pandavas are famous. Why? Because they are Krishna Bhaktas. They are great devotees of Krishna. That is their greatness, not because of mundane morality. So in this world, morality is most important, no doubt. And we uphold morality. In all cases, we uphold it. But we should always understand that there is something still more important than mundane morality, and that is our devotion to God. You should be known as an honest man. You should be known as a good, responsible family member. You should be known for all such good things. But ultimately, if you are not known as a devotee of God, what is the value of your reputation? As it is said in the Srimad Bhagavatam, even if you fulfill all your worldly duties, but you don't develop a desire to hear Hari Katha, Shrama Evahi Kevalam, it is simply a waste of time. All the duties that you did were a waste of time. Sometimes people say, well, I did my duty. I have done this, but you have not done your spiritual duty. As Prabhupada says, how much is 0 plus 0? How much is 0 plus 0 plus 0?
0.
What if we had another 0?
0.
What if we put 1 in front of all the zeros?
1.
Then it's a big value, right? What if we have 1 million zeros? How much is it equal to? 0. And if we put 1 in front of all of them, is it a very big amount? Okay. Now we are saying that all the things in the world that glitter, they actually have no value in the ultimate sense. But if you put them all in the service of one, who is that one? Krishna. Then all those things which were temporary, the body, the family, the residence, the bank balance, the reputation, put all of those things in the service of God, then do they have value? Yes, great value. This is a very important point in spiritual understanding. That where the Vedas say the body is temporary, the family are fallible soldiers, residence is temporary and not so important, reputation may come and go. Bhagavad Gita says you have to be indifferent to fame or infamy, happiness or distress, right? These things may come and go. But if all of these things are put in the service of the one Supreme Lord, God, the Supreme Being, then these things become very valuable. Then this body becomes valuable. Now this body has value. Before I became a devotee of Krishna, what was the value of my body? Simply breathing. The Bhagavatam says, like the bellows in a blacksmith shop, right? In a blacksmith shop, now they don't have blacksmith shop, but in the old days they had a blacksmith shop. And how did the blacksmiths heat up the steel? By pumping air. So that pumping of air is just like the human being's chest, breathing in and out, in and out, in and out. So this body which just breathes in and out without glorifying Krishna is no better than the bellow in a blacksmith shop. These eyes, which see so many things, if they don't see the beautiful form of Krishna, they're no better than the eyes on the tail of a peacock's feather. Have you seen a peacock? Have you seen the feather of a peacock? What is on the end of the peacock's feather? An eye, right? It looks like an eye, the shape of an eye. But can that eye see anything? No. So if your eyes are simply used for seeing so many things, but they don't see Krishna, are you really seeing anything? No. Who said yes? Hey, wake up. No, of course not. You have legs. If your legs are walking here and there, where do your legs take you? They take you to school. They take you to what? Shopping. They take you so many places. But if they don't take you to the temple to see the deity of Krishna, then what are your legs like? The trunks of a tree. Can a tree move? No. So are your legs really moving if they don't take you to a temple? Huh? Okay, now you get the right point. Okay, no. What about the head? Is it heavy? The head is a heavy burden. Unless you do what with your head? Think of Krishna. And what else? Who said that? Bow down. A big girl over there. Yes, bow down. If you come to the temple, what should you do with your head? How? How much bow down?
All the way.
Not just like this? Actually bow down, right? Very good. So this is how the body becomes beneficial. Then the body has great value. And the family, what about the family? We said, is your father and mother here today? And you said, yes. I said, is your father and mother from your last lifetime here? You said, no. And I said, what about next lifetime? And you said, we don't know yet who that will be, that father and mother. Now all the family members, how will they become our real family members? Tell me. How will they become permanent family members? Are your father and mother your permanent father and mother? But how can they become your permanent family? Would you like them always to be related to you? Yes? Tell me how you'll do that. Do you always want to be related to your father and mother? You never want to let them go, right? How are you going to do it? There's a way to do it. Tell me what the way is. Can you always be related in this world? They're going to die. Their bodies are going to die, right? Are your bodies going to die? So can you always be related in this world? Then where can you always be related? Is there another world beyond this world? Spiritual world. Where is that? Where is it? Is it further than the moon? Past the sun? Outside this universe? Yes, yes. Say yes. Haribol. Yes, the answer is yes. It is beyond this universe. If we can go to that spiritual world, then what will happen to our father and mother? Do you know the story of Bhakta Prahlad? Have any of you heard of Prahlad Maharaj? Hey. I'm going to make you sit right in front of me. Oh, okay, then be a good boy. Now, do you know about Prahlad Maharaj? Who is Bhakta Prahlad? He was a great devotee of Krishna. He was a great devotee of a special incarnation of Krishna known as Nrsingadev. Have you ever heard of Nrsingadev? Have you ever heard of the incarnation half lion, half man? Right? Nrsingadev. And his devotee's name is Prahlad. Okay? He was the same age that you are. And he became such a great devotee of Nrsingadev. Nrsingadev, his father, Prahlad's father, was very bad. You know what his father tried to do all the time? What? Kill him. Very bad father. So what finally happened to save Prahlad? Nrsingadev came and killed the father. So when his father was killed, what did Nrsingadev said to Prahlad? Now, my dear boy Prahlad, I have saved you by killing your father. And you are my great devotee. I offer you any benediction you may ask. What did he say? He said, I'm worried about my father. He loved his father and loved all living entities. He said, I'm worried about my father because he's not a devotee. I'm worried about everyone. Then what did Nrsingadev tell him? Because you are my devotee, because you are going to live with me in the kingdom of God, your father and your father's father. That means what? Grandfather. And your father's father's father. What is that? 21 times. What is that? Anyway, that's a very hard thing to say. Father's 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 father. 21 times. Not only that, your son, your son's son, and daughter also. And daughters and daughters and sons. How many times? 21 times. All of them are going to go back with you to the spiritual world. So if you go to the spiritual world, what will happen to your father and mother? They're going to go there also. Right? So do you want to keep your father and mother with you always? What is the way to do it? How will you go back to God? That's the next question. How are you going to do that?
Worshipping and thinking of the body of Krishna.
Be a devotee of Krishna. What kind of devotee? A pure devotee. Very good. This is the answer. Be a pure devotee of Krishna. So, we only went through, we didn't cover education, friendship, luxuries, jewelry, clothes, bank balance, and food. Who said food? Right. We didn't cover all of these. Now, we have tried to explain that all that glitters is not gold. And in this regard, there is a very simple narration. One day, there was a great devotee of God. His name was Sanatan Goswami. And he used to live very simply near the Jamuna River. Do you know where the Jamuna River is? Does anyone know? The Jamuna River is it is in Vrindavan. In Delhi, you have all been to Delhi? What's the river there? Jamuna is there also, right? Next to the Red Fort, you don't know that? It's been too long. It's been so long that you don't know this? Everybody knows that Jamuna is in Delhi. Here's a Delhi wala. Kishan, where is the Jamuna? Next to the Red Fort. Huh? In Mathura, yes. In Mathura. And it is also in Delhi and in Vrindavan. Okay. So this saint, this sadhu, Sanatan Goswami, he used to live by the Jamuna and he had no possessions at all. But it was said that he had one very valuable thing. A touchstone. A special stone. And anything that stone would touch, it would become like what? Gold. So one day, someone came, a young kid, just like one of you, because he or she heard that this person has a touchstone. So they went to this Goswami and said, Goswamiji, I heard that you have a touchstone. Is it so? He said, yes. He said, well, I want to ask something from you. Would you give it to me? He said, yes. Where is it? He said, I don't know where it is. I leave it somewhere. Somewhere there in that area where we throw the garbage. So the person went through it, picked out the touchstone. I said, I have it. And they took this touchstone and they went everywhere, turning things into gold. And became very wealthy. This is a true story. So one day one of their friends said, what has happened to you? You used to be an ordinary young boy or girl from Houston, Texas. And now you have become covered with gold. How did you do this? I met a Goswami who was living by the side of the Jamuna River, and he gave it to me. He gave it to you? What was he doing with it? Why would he give it to you? He said he didn't want it. He kept it with the garbage. With the garbage? Then this person who was talking to you was very intelligent. And he said, if he kept it in the garbage, he must have something more valuable. Because anybody would not keep their most valuable thing in the garbage. He must have something more valuable which he didn't tell you about. You should go back to him and ask him for the most valuable thing he has. So, you get on the airplane, Air India, first class because you have so much gold. And you ride there, what is that first class section called? Maharaj class, right? The Maharaja class, something like that. And you ride like a Maharaja, a great king, back to Delhi, and you get on you rent a beautiful car, go on the road to Agra, take the turn, go into Mathura, then go to Vrindavan, then go to the Jamuna, and you say, Goswamiji, I'm giving you, I don't think I want this stone because I think you have something more valuable. Then Sanatan Goswami said, all right, I do have something more valuable. That's true. But if you want it, you're going to have to take this stone and throw it in the Jamuna River. Then you're holding it and you're thinking, should I do it? Because I have this stone and I have so much gold, but I think there's something more valuable, because he says he has a more valuable thing. All right, you throw it into the Jamuna River, right? And then he says, come here, sit down, and repeat after me. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna. Hare Hare. Hare Rama. Hare Rama. Rama Rama. Hare Hare. And what will you say? Is that all? And he'll say, oh, that is so much more valuable than gold. Because what you will get from chanting the names of God, you can never purchase with any amount of gold. What will you get if you chant Hare Krishna purely? Tell me what you'll get. A spiritual body, spiritual home, spiritual family. You'll get every single thing but pure and spiritual in the spiritual world. Isn't that more valuable? Because the things that are made of gold, you can't, with all the money in the world, can you buy a spiritual body? If the richest man in the world, does his body get old? Does he have to die? Does he have to give up his home when he gets old and dies? Yes. Does he have to say goodbye to his family?
Yes.
So the money could not save him. But this chanting of Hare Krishna can save you. That's the difference. It can save your body. You can get a spiritual body. You can get spiritual residence, spiritual family. You can go back to Godhead. So we'll stop here. And here, if anyone has any comments or questions, otherwise we will have the arti. Any kids have questions? Remember, we're giving prizes for the best question. So let's have some questions from you. Now think about what we talked about today and ask a good question. Think, I'll give you 10 seconds. Think. Think, 5 seconds left. Think, harder. Okay, first question, this lady.
Well, it doesn't exactly relate to the subject, but I do have a question.
Okay.
I was at Galveston, and this guy was fishing, and I told him, what do you do with the fish after you take it? He said, he eats it. I go, but you're killing the soul. And he said,
Wait, come up to this microphone and speak it, because they should hear the question. Come up here. Microphone, turn the microphone around. Lift it a little. Okay, go ahead.
I was at Galveston, and I asked this guy who was fishing, and I said, what do you do with the fish after you're finished? He said, he eats it. And I go, well, you're killing the soul. And he goes, well, when you have roaches and like a mosquito's biting you, don't you kill that? And doesn't it have a soul? And I didn't know what to answer, and I was wondering what would you suggest.
Okay. First of all, you should not have said you're killing the soul. Because the soul is eternal, it cannot be killed. So what are they killing? The body. Now, if they're only killing the body and the body is not permanent, what's wrong with that? You're not killing the soul. So what's wrong with killing someone's body? There's something wrong. Every living being has a natural span of life. And unless you live out that natural span, then in your next birth, what do you have to come back as? The same type of body. When a soul takes birth in the body of a fish, can it chant Hare Krishna? Can it listen to this lecture tonight? Can it eat prasada? No. So is a body in a fish's, is a birth in a fish's body very nice for the soul? No, because it cannot do any of these things, right? So we would like to see that the soul in the body of the fish does what? It goes to the next higher birth, maybe in an animal's body. And when the animal's body dies, where will the soul go? Maybe eventually into what kind of body? Human body. And then can a human being chant Hare Krishna? Can a human being take prasadam? Can a human being listen to the Bhagavad Gita? Which is better, human body or fish's body? Okay. So when you kill a fish, before it should die naturally, what does it have to do? What does that soul have to do? It didn't finish out its karma in the fish's body. So what happens? Again, it has to take birth in the body of a fish. This is one of the major reasons we are against killing fish, killing animals to eat meat. This is the reason, because it interferes with the natural lifespan of the body. And the soul again has to be put into a very lower form. Now someone may say, but you're eating vegetables. You're doing the same thing. You're stopping the natural life of the vegetable. What's our answer? Actually, they're right. But there's one way that it becomes different. When we take the food, we offer that vegetable to Krishna as prasad, as an offering to Krishna. That food becomes spiritualized. The soul in the body of the vegetable that gave its life to being used in the service of God, what happens to that soul? It gets promoted to a much higher birth, maybe even higher than it would have gotten. Understand? So you benefit. Then someone may say, well, we'll do that with the fish's body. After I catch the fish, I will offer it to Krishna. I'll put a big tulsi leaf on it. And I'll say so many prayers. And Krishna is very merciful. God is merciful. Everybody knows that. So what will happen to the fish? Will God eat that fish? No. Why not? Do you know this verse from the Bhagavad Gita? Patram, Pushpan, Phalan, Toyam. Did anybody teach you this verse? Did you learn this verse in school last year? Who said that? What school do you go to? Huh? Gurukula. Ah. Where is that school? At the temple. Which temple? Hare Krishna temple. And you learned that verse? Here, come up here. Keep the microphone there. Oh, there's the microphone. Okay, go ahead.
Patram pushpam phalam toyam yame bhakta prayasati taraham bhakta paritam
Ashnami.
me pratamanaha.
Very good. Where's your teacher tonight? Oh, there she is. Stand up. See, learning that verse came in handy tonight. Now you see, it's not a waste of time to learn these verses. Okay, so now the question is, what about cockroaches? Right? So, this is a question we asked our Guru Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada. You said cockroaches and mosquitoes. I personally asked him about mosquitoes, and I know many devotees. Because sometimes we see cockroaches, they say, are prehistoric creatures. They have survived through all the ages. And it's very hard to get rid of them. And they go everywhere, you know, they have no discrimination. It's not that they only go in a dirty place, right? Even in the temple they go. Even on the altar they go. So sometimes we used to ask Prabhupada, what should we do? Because the cockroaches are even crawling on the deities. So Prabhupada gave two answers. One, he said, anyway, Krishna is not material, he's spiritual. And he cannot be affected by anything material. But then he said, actually, we should keep everything very, very clean, and we should try to avoid from cockroaches or mosquitoes entering. So the first thing is prevention. Try to protect the place in such a way that they don't come in. But if it becomes too difficult for the sake of the deities, Prabhupada said, then you may have to eliminate them. Now I asked him about mosquitoes. One time I was taking a shower in Vrindavan, and there were so many mosquitoes that I completely forgot everything. See, in the Bhagavad Gita, I started bang. I must have killed 20 mosquitoes, but afterwards I felt very bad. So I went to Prabhupada, I said, Srila Prabhupada, I feel very bad because I must have just killed 20 mosquitoes. He said, that's very bad. So then I felt even worse. So I said, what should I do? He said, you should wait until they bite you. He said, if they bite you, then you can kill them. In other words, if it becomes a reflex action, where you're not, if it is not like this with this predisposed plan, he said that is not as bad a thing. But to actually make arrangements where you're killing one after another is not good. So we generally avoid killing any living entity as far as we can. However, is it possible to avoid killing at all? Right now, are you killing anything? Are you killing anyone? Are you killing anything? Hey, scholar, you're the one. You got the Bhagavad Gita yesterday, right? You're the same one. Are you killing anyone right now? Are you a murderer? Nobody, huh? You're not killing anyone? Tell me something. In the air that you are breathing, are there some small microscopic germs that you can't see? Are there germs in the air? And when we breathe, what happens? You're killing them. So is it possible to avoid killing everything? No. When you sat down, do you know how many microscopic germs you sat on? You didn't hear them say anything? You didn't hear them say, ouch. Well, they did. They died. But what happened tonight? Tonight, there is no karma from this killing. Why? Because we did this in the service of God, actually. We came here to hear about God. We came here to hear about Krishna. And Krishna gives life, and therefore he can, what? Take life. If someone gives something, they have the right to take it. God gives life, God can take life. If something is done in the service of God genuinely, then there is no sinful reaction. But if you go home next Sunday, or Saturday, or tonight, right, or tomorrow morning, and you turn on the TV set, and you go back in that sofa and you go, and so many microscopic germs go, ouch. Is there going to be karma? Is there a sin for it? Yes or no? Yes. Because did you watch, what are you going to watch on television? What kind of show? Like this show tonight? No. So you're not going to get any protection when you sit down on those bugs. And what happens when you kill? What's the result when you do, when someone commits a murder, what happens? Is it a very serious thing? So there's karma, isn't there? That means that we are all getting so much karma. So what is the way to protect ourselves from this karma? That wherever you sit, wherever you walk, whatever you speak, whatever you do, it should be done in the service of God. Otherwise, you must get karma. And when you get karma, what is the result? Suffering. What is the cause of suffering? Karma. That's the only cause. So try to see how difficult it is to live in this world without getting more karma and therefore more suffering. Unless you learn to use every moment in the service of God. What is that called? Samadhi. Samadhi doesn't just mean when you sit there like this. No. Samadhi means all activities done in the service of God. And this is what Krishna is trying to teach Arjuna. Whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you give away, everything you do. What is that verse from Gita? Yat karoshi, yat ashnashi, yat jahoshi tadashi, yat tapashyashi konteya, tat kurusha madarpanam. Everything done should be done as an offering to me. That is the teaching of Gita. Okay, that was a good question. Now you have a question. Microphone.
You said that if people die in Vrindavan, they'll go back to Godhead. How about a karmi dies in Vrindavan? Will they go back to Godhead?
Very good question. If someone dies, we said they go back to Godhead. So she said, what about a karmi? What about someone who is a fruitive worker, who is simply working hard and not thinking about God, but they die in Vrindavan? Will they go back to Godhead? First of all, ordinary karmis are not in Vrindavan. Because to be in Vrindavan is some special qualification. So we should understand that they're going to get some special benefit. Some scriptures say that they go back to Godhead. But at least we can say that they get a much, much better and higher birth. They'll get so much benefit from that death in Vrindavan, whatever it may be. So whether they go back to Godhead, or at least if they get the opportunity to become a pure devotee in their next lifetime, they get so much benefit. Understand? Does anyone else have any question? Kids? Okay, here's a young man. Come up. Use the microphone. Okay, lift that microphone up. Okay.
In that story about the elephant called to God. You said that animals can't call to God, and an elephant is an animal.
Yes. He's referring, I think, to one story I told in the temple, right? Yes, okay. He comes to our temple, and so he remembers a story I told about an elephant named Gajendra. And this elephant was a king of the elephants, and he was fighting with a crocodile for many, many years. And eventually, when an elephant fights in the water with a crocodile, who is stronger? Which is stronger, an elephant or a crocodile? No, but normally, elephant. But in the water, who is stronger? Okay. So after many years of fighting, the crocodile was winning, and the elephant saw that he was going to die. So what did he do? He began to offer prayers. Now this young man has asked, you said an animal cannot pray. How did this elephant pray? Now you'll see how beneficial is Krishna consciousness. This elephant in his past life was a great devotee, but by some unfortunate situation, he took birth in the body of an elephant. But in his past life, he had learned these prayers. Now normally, someone who learns prayers will get a human birth at least. But for some reason, he took his birth in an elephant's body. Still, by the grace of Krishna, at the moment where he needed it, even though he was in the body of an elephant, he could offer prayers. Now, how he offered prayers, not like we do. In other words, his prayers didn't go, Patram Pushpan Falon Toimam. He may not have spoken it out loud, but within his mind, he could remember. How he did it is by the grace of God. But it proves that Krishna says that a little bit of advancement on this path will never go in vain. So this elephant got the benefit, even though he was born in an animal's body, which is normally a dumb body. He had perfect intelligence at the right moment to remember this prayer and call Krishna. So we should certainly learn prayers. What is the best prayer to learn? What's the easiest prayer? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. How many different words are in this prayer? Hare Krishna, Rama. Very easy prayer. Everybody can learn it. So we will stop now so we can all... Uh-oh. You have a good question? Okay, come up. Microphone. Yes, we have to give the prize for the best question. Wait. Okay, go ahead.
You said that an animal can see God, that animal can talk to God, but there's a God that is an animal, so how can he talk to God and see him?
Wait a moment. Go back. Could you please repeat that question?
Okay, you said that if animals can't talk to God or see him, so there's a God that's an animal.
What does that mean, a God that's in the animals?
A God.
What kind of God? You mean a soul
Yeah.
in the body of an animal? Okay.
So how can he talk to God and see him?
Oh, okay. Generally, the soul in the body of an animal is covered by too much ignorance to be able to talk to God and see him. But the animal, the soul in the body of an animal may not be able to talk to God or see him. Just like now, when you stand in front of this altar, you see Krishna, right? You can see the deity of Krishna, can't you? Do you have a pet animal at home?
Yeah.
What kind?
Rabbit.
Okay. If your rabbit, if you brought your rabbit here and he looked at this altar, what would he see? Take a look. Look at this altar. What would he see? No, he would not see Krishna. What would he see? He'd see the tulsi bush. But he would not see that there's a tulsi and think, oh, Jai, tulsi namaha. He would immediately hop over here and start eating. So, animal has only one type of consciousness. It's called anamoya. Anamoya means eating, staying alive by eating. So how can we help the animals to know God? We can feed them Krishna prasadam. You can feed them food which was offered to Krishna. Do you feed your animal? Do you feed your rabbit? What do you feed him?
Lettuce.
Okay. Do you offer that lettuce to Krishna first? You can. Don't answer that. Now, starting tomorrow, you should do the following. Do you have a picture of Krishna at home? Okay. Take the lettuce, the whole lettuce or some part that you're going to feed him. Put it in front of the picture of Krishna. Take your head and bow down before the picture and go, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. My dear Krishna, please accept this lettuce and make it prasadam. Then take the lettuce and feed it to your rabbit. That lettuce will help your rabbit to become more advanced spiritually. This is how you can help your rabbit. Okay? Tomorrow, are you going to be here tomorrow night? Huh? Okay, well if you are, we're going to ask you whether you fed your rabbit prasadam or not. Now, is there any last question? Okay, this girl here. Yes, please. Come up.
If Krishna doesn't want people to lie, why did he ask Yudhishthira to lie?
If Krishna doesn't want anyone to lie, why did he ask Yudhishthira to lie? There are some reasons. What was the purpose of Krishna asking Yudhishthira to lie? First of all, what was the lie that Yudhishthira told? Do you know? Who? Huh? Say it loudly. Aswatthama is dead. Who is Aswatthama? The son of whom? Dronacharya, the teacher, right? You know Mahabharata, right? The son of Yudhishthira. Yudhishthira's teacher's name is Dronacharya. His son's name is Aswatthama. When Aswatthama is dead, there was another Aswatthama. Who was that? An elephant. What did they do? Kill the elephant, and then they said Aswatthama is dead. Now, why did Krishna want Yudhishthira to tell this lie? When Dronacharya, when a father hears that his son is dead, what happens to the father? He becomes so disappointed, right? He gives up all will to live or to fight, right? In that condition, when Dronacharya gave up his will to live, what could be done? Someone could kill him, right? Who killed Drona? Who killed Drona? Huh? So could Drona be killed? Otherwise, was it possible to kill Drona? No. Drona could not be killed. Could Bhishma be killed? No. Drona could not be killed. Bhishma could not be killed. Karna could not be killed. But did they deserve to die? Definitely they deserve to die. Why? What did Drona do wrong? At the time of the gambling match, when Draupadi was being disrobed, Bhishma and Drona sat there and they did not object. And for that they had to die. They had to die. Because it was very sinful what they did. Because Draupadi was as pure as the goddess of fortune. She is the goddess of fortune. And no one can touch her in this way. So, there was a reason why Krishna wanted to see Drona killed. But no one could kill Drona unless he stopped fighting. Therefore, Krishna had to find a way to do this. So, he required Yudhishthira to do this. There's another reason why Krishna wanted Yudhishthira to do this. Because he wanted to prove that following the will of God is more important than any type of morality, even mundane honesty, even worldly honesty is not as important as the ultimate honesty of serving and loving God. So for these reasons he did. Now we are going to stop the questions. No, not today. Now we have to award a prize for the best question. This is not. All of you who raised all of you who had questions, raise your hand, please. Okay. 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 Now we are going. Oh yeah. What was your question again?
About the elephant.
Right. All right. I think we will have to give more than one prize. First of all, we will give a prize for the best answer, which will go to you. Up. Usually we give the prize for the best questions, but today we'll give for the best answer. Huh? Who are the parents of, first of all, what is your name? Radhika. Okay, Radhika. Are your parents here tonight? Your dad is here. Can he stand up, please? This book is called Perfect Questions, Perfect Answers. So since you also had a very good question, we'll give you this book. question. Who were the questioners again? They were all very good questions, no doubt. I think the best question was asked by this young girl here. Yes, you come. What is your name? Bindi. Okay, Bindi. We are going to give you Bhagavad Gita as it is. Oh, are your parents here? Where are they? Okay. This young man here. Yes, come up. What's your name? Amit. Okay. What was your question about? The soul and the body of an animal. Okay. Okay, now some of these books, how old are you? 9. Some of these books will be a little difficult to understand, but maybe in 1 or 2 years you'll be able to. But this has a very good cover. You know who this is? He's called Kalki. He's an incarnation of Krishna, and he's coming. But you should not be around when he comes. See what he's got there? A big sword. Okay. Where's your parents? Are they here tonight? I hope that the children may. There may be some. I guess there are not. What's your name? Sonia. Do you have this book? Okay. What was your question again? Cockroaches. Okay, we're going to give her Life Comes from Life. Srila Prabhupada's answers to the scientists. Hare Krishna. Are your parents here? Very good. And which one? Okay. He's getting this book, Science of Yoga. Very nice book, which I hope that you will enjoy reading. Right?